We need a Mexican yell right now.
Mm-hmm. Where's the Mexican guy?
He's in. He's stuck at the border. Trump got him.
Yeah, they're gonna fund the wall, so he's done.
All right. Well, as you can tell from the sound, you're at Caveman's Corner. We're coming to you live from our new studio in Buffalo, New York, in my mom's basement. You're at Caveman's Corner with your host, Jeff. Denz. I killed the opening just like Ray does.
Yeah, well, he's not here, so somebody's had to do his lousy job.
Yeah, I gotta keep it going. We're gonna jump right into it because it's late at night, and we stole Chris's machine, so he's knocking on the door downstairs, waiting to get it back. Go away, Chris. If you had money, we wouldn't have this problem.
I know, Chris. Where are all the investors?
Well, let's jump right into the national scene. If you listen to Caveman's Corner for national news on MMA, man, you're missing the boat. Something's wrong with you, but I guess we can go over it real quick. We're just going to touch on the main events of the last two cards. There's a Bellator and a UFC. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll start with UFC 220 because that's the real show. What'd you think about Cormier and Volkan Ozdemir or whatever? I don't even know how to really say his name.
I just say I'm so happy for Cormier to come out and win this fight in the way he won it. I feel really bad for the guy. I mean, dealing with that whole BS with John Jones over and over again. And now
well, he can't beat him. He can't beat John Jones.
But John Jones is always popping hot, so that's not even fair.
Well, I mean, unless the Cialis is really affecting the grappling too much, and
it might be.
Cormier doesn't want to get close to the Cialis wiener. I don't think it had too much to do with the first
Cormier's
fight.
tapping because like that thing is that I don't want that thing anywhere near me.
You're an Asian girl. You should like the.
But no, I feel really happy for him. I think he deserved this big win, and I'm sure it make him feel good that to be a champion and have a win actually under his name here.
Yeah, he's a solid number 2.
He's a solid number.
He's the second best 205er in the world, and that's what it basically comes down to. He can't beat John Jones. He can beat anybody else.
But the thing is, John Jones there's always something going on with John Jones, so we don't know if Cormier can beat a clean John Jones. John Jones has never been clean since they came together to fight. So I don't know. Like I don't know if that's really says a lot about Cormier being number 2 or being the champ.
Nah, he's a guy that you want your kids to be like when they grow up. You don't want your kids to be like John Jones.
No,
he's a goddamn mess, and he likes to party, and he's that messed up MMA guy that's just really chaotic. Daniel Cormier is the complete opposite. He's very regimented, disciplined. You can look up online. There's thousands of great stories about him, and it's just the way he is. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. He's the second best guy in the entire world at 205.
I don't know. I'm so happy for him. And if you watch the fight too, Volkan, the Russian guy, he's a lot taller, right? But didn't really.
Everyone's taller than Daniel Cormier. He's got that short man syndrome going on.
Right, but
he's half midget.
But it didn't really affect the reach of. There was really not a reach advantage going on in this fight.
Well, Volkan definitely had a reach advantage. Cormier was able to negate it, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like Cormier was able to get inside and really, showcase some of that boxing that I think he's been dying to show the world that he can box, and I think he did a good job. And then that takedown at the end of the first round that he almost submitted Volkan. And then he came back out and he did that exact single leg takedown and was able to just pound out the win.
You can't stop Cormier. He's just a beast. Once he gets his hands on you, unless your name's John Jones, you're going to get crucifixed and pounded out.
Maybe a dirty John Jones, but I don't know. I'm telling you, a clean John Jones may not be that good.
Oh, we'll find out in 4 more years.
He will be nothing.
All right, we had I don't know if you call this an upset, but in the MMA world, I guess it's an upset. Stipe Miocic, the champion, defeated Francis Ngannou. What'd you think about that fight?
Okay, so Ngannou looks just like a terrifying. I don't even know what he is.
There's 2 guys I'd be scared to fight in all of MMA. One is Francis Ngannou, and 2 is Yoel Romero. Those are the 2 scariest guys I've ever seen in my entire life.
I mean, his fist is bigger than most people's head. And it's scary. He's intimidating looking. He's huge. He's muscular. He's thick. Everything is big on this guy. And
Everything?
Well, I don't know about everything, but most of the things I can see are pretty big on this guy. So maybe he has a small, so that's why he has to grow all those muscles to, compensate. But so good for the smaller guy.
How would you describe Stipe?
Stipe is like a normal big guy. in this scenario, I'm sure when he's standing next to a normal big guy, Stipe is bigger. But next to Ngannou, I think anyone looks small.
He definitely pretty much smaller. He was much crisper though.
Yes, and Ngannou had nothing. Ngannou had nothing on the ground. Like, he's a bigger guy, but if you watch, like when I watched the fight, every time Stipe got Ngannou on the ground, Stipe was able to hold him against the cage and pound him.
It was kind of amazing that Ngannou could not deal with Miocic on the ground, or it seemed like even in the clinch.
Right, and it's just kind of sad because he's so big that it just I think it's just really mismatched skill wise in that area.
I don't know if you heard Joe Rogan say it about 13 times, but Ngannou owns the hardest punch in the world, I guess.
Right, and then for Stipe to last, I remember this when I saw the 5th round about to start. You know that shot when Stipe is standing there just kind of bouncing for the 5th round to start for the ref to be like, fight. Stipe just had that look like, oh my gosh, is this gonna be over? and then he did the same thing. He got Ngannou down, but to get through 4 rounds of this heavy-handed punch, and it says a lot about this guy's chin.
Yeah, Stipe definitely got a chin, but he outboxed Ngannou, and there's been a lot of questions on how Ngannou would do on the ground, how he'd do against the fence, and honestly how his grappling was and how his conditioning was, and I think every one of those was answered by Stipe.
Yeah, so good job, Stipe.
Stipe also set a record. He's the first one to defend the title 3 times as a heavyweight.
Yes, in 6 win streaks, right? 6 fight win streak.
I don't know about the win streak. I just know about the title.
Okay. Or was that Ngannou? I don't remember.
Ngannou came in on a big win streak, and he knocked out your boy Alistair.
I know.
Overeem, the dream.
It's not my boy. It's every woman's dream boy.
Yeah, when he's on the juice.
When he's on the juice, he did appear a lot smaller now.
Yeah, he's not quite the same man without the steroids.
Yeah, but he's still, for the big guy, he's still quite handsome.
All right, well, moving over to Bellator. We were going back and forth. Charis fell asleep, so she had to rewatch some of this before we did this podcast.
It's fresh in my mind now.
We'll start with Aaron Pico, since Mustafa likes him so much. He's a big-name wrestler. He defeated Shane Crutchin by TKO. I don't even know who that guy was. The
Japanese guy?
No. This was the Marine guy against the Pico guy, the wrestler guy, the one that was like 30 seconds long. Body shot, liver shot.
Oh yeah, that kid. I was very impressed with that kid.
Yeah.
And I think I was even more impressed with him at the interview part, post-fight interview. I want to see this kid really come on the scene, and I think this is a fighter that I have interest to follow his career. I haven't had a fighter that I really cared about for a while now.
Do you know the story behind him?
No, I don't know. And
he had a huge build-up. He's like this great boxer, great wrestler. He's going to be the next big MMA star. First fight he loses.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And now he's on a 2-fight win streak, and just, dude, that was a vicious body shot.
It was like, wow. I can't even.
My kick was still faster by a lot. By a lot. 35 seconds faster.
Right, but that's a leg kick versus this hard punch, But it just, I can't even imagine being hit by something like that. It looks terrifying.
I'd fight Pico. He beat me up.
Well, you fight everyone. if we put somebody in front of Jeff right now and say, go fight him, Jeff's like, yup, right now.
Not Romero or
Yeah,
Ngannou.
Besides those 2.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you'd be like, all right, ready, go, set.
Ready, go, set?
Set, ready, go. I don't get those things ever. I'm not an athlete. I don't run. I don't do competitions.
All right, next was Michael Chandler versus Goti Yamucho.
This is a wrestler versus best ground
best ground fighter over submission. That is bullshit because Chandler has almost as many submissions as him.
Okay. I don't know. When the Japanese guy first came out, I'm like, is he really Japanese? To me, he didn't really look Japanese.
Yeah. He's from Brazil, by the way.
Okay. All right, maybe that explains some of that because I was a little confused when he walked out. But I know, like, when the first fight first started, you asked me, like, when they were walking out, you asked me if I think the Japanese guy will submit the white guy.
Yeah, you always like Asian pride.
Right, so Asian pride. So I'm like, yeah. Not even knowing the other guy's background really that much.
I can't believe you didn't know who Michael Chandler was. I can't believe we're married.
No. But yeah, like I said, I haven't really cared about a fighter like Forrest Griffin, Joe Lasan days. So this is interesting that fight went down interesting for me, that the Japanese guy who's built up to be the best ground person had no answer in this fight.
Yeah, he had nothing for him. He just got his ass kicked.
Right.
30-26, 30-26, 30-25. A lot of people probably didn't see these fights because they were watching the UFC, so we're just going over it real quick. Roy McDonald versus Douglas Lima.
Oh my gosh. I feel so bad for Rory. Why every fight? The kid,
Dude, he won this time.
I know he won, but like he's so damaged. Every fight is I mean, he's a young kid. I just feel very motherly towards him, and I feel bad. Like, look at this time he got that hematoma thing on his leg.
Yeah, his shin was
oh my
fucked
god!
up.
And for him to come back out after all that and be able to walk on it.
Mm-hmm. He even took some kicks on it.
I know. I was just like, it's crazy. And then of course his face was kind of all messed up again.
Yeah, he bleeds easy. When you get your nose broke that bad, it's always gonna bleed like that.
I know, but it's just, I feel so bad for this kid. But I'm so glad he did win this time. So it's not all wasted effort, and so much heart for this kid.
Yeah, he definitely. I thought he fought a great fight. He won a title. Finally, won a world title. He deserves it. Rory McDonald, man, what can you say about him? He's just a killer, and he needs to work on his interviews. He's he's another one of them guys that he's probably a serial killer. He's probably not really a good person.
He just ain't right.
He's just not right. He might be Nicole Hass messed up.
No,
no one's that messed up. I'm just kidding, Nicole.
She'll be proud of that.
She might be proud of that.
I
figure she would.
She would.
Since we have an alpha on, we have to throw the other alphas under the bus because that's how this show works.
Yep.
Then we had Chael Sonnen and your boy Fat Paige Jackson.
Oh, stop it,
dude! He was so fat.
He is so fat. But I still love my
Too
Rampage
many Memphis
Jackson.
ribs. Memphis ribs
I know,
killed
but
him.
I still love my Rampage Jackson. He just went from the tough guy that I love to the chubby boy that I love.
Well, to be honest with you, he didn't look in that bad a shape.
No.
He hung with Chael.
He was just slow, and he doesn't.
He cracked Chael a couple times. Chael's chin held up. He's definitely came out to fight to win.
Right, but I feel bad, and having to lose to Chael Sonnen, the big mouth, that's hard.
You know what Rampage did?
What?
He offers him $10,000 a takedown that he got on him.
Really?
Yeah, on social media.
Wow.
It didn't work out so good for him because Chael took him down like 4 times.
Well, Rampage can go make more movies.
Yeah.
And make more money.
He might have to. I bet you he doesn't pay that bet.
No.
Probably
I don't know,
not.
though. Because Chael Sonnen would, shit talk him.
Uh-huh. Who do you think's going to win the heavyweight tournament?
I don't know. I can't wait to see Big Country.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I think he's like an interesting character.
He could win the tournament. He's pretty big.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm looking forward to that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. I'm kind of happy that Bellator is doing this tournament thing with the heavyweight. I think it's an interesting concept, and it really gives chance to some of these fighters to come out and fight and showcase their skills, either skills they already have or skills they've been working on.
Big Country Meathead is probably the fight of the tournament. Whoever wins that one's probably going to win the tournament.
Yeah, probably, but let's see.
All right. Enough of that bullshit. Everyone knows what's going on in the national news. If you're listening to our show for it, you're fucked. We can't even get our Mexican guy here to work.
No. We're not very good slave drivers.
No. He missed yesterday. He missed today. So today we just had to do it.
Right. Where are you, Ray?
Ray's actually working.
Oh, well.
He's doing that at Hermer's school thing. But he should just quit and sell drugs and come back to doing a podcast like he used to.
Come in with his spiffy suit one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That's how it looks like.
That's what you got to do when you got to do it.
And his sunglasses.
Oh, dude, those sunglasses were killer.
Color
Yeah.
sunglasses.
Everyone likes those. All the guests like those.
Well, yeah, it's like Stalin.
'Cause he's pimping.
There you go. I don't even know what's a cool thing to say these days.
I don't know. Probably pimping.
I don't think
That's
so.
the only thing I know how to say.
Yeah, so it's not cool then.
All right. Gender wars.
Yeah, and you know what? You've been telling me about this. This is kind of a crazy thing that's going on.
Yeah. Do you remember Wes Sims?
Yes, he's fucked.
Yeah. He's the one that, Dan Holly got arrested and put to jail, and he took Dan Holly's fight money, got hookers and stuff.
Yeah, and he got Dan Holly and his then girlfriend trying to get them on Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story too.
Yeah, Wes Sims is probably the most fucked up person I know. I've personally had encounters with. And even he was smart enough to not be involved in gender wars.
Right, and that when you told me about that, and I read that Wes Sims dropped out of the gender war, I'm like, wow. So if he has enough moral standings to drop out of this thing, it can't be that good.
So this kind of made me look bad because we had Brad Kohler on the show.
Right.
And we interviewed him. We did it a couple times. We had 2 interviews about gender wars.
Right.
To help sell his show. And
well, one of them was kind of impromptu because Jerry Young kind of had a...
Yeah, actually Jerry Young was calling him out that it was bullshit. There's no way they could come up with $1 million to pay that guy. They're never going to get the amount of buys because he actually does internet marketing. And he's like, everything you're telling us is bullshit. And then Brad Kohler was like, oh, yeah, who are you? What did you ever do for MMA,
Well, I think Jerry Young did a big thing for MMA now by calling out Brad Kohler ahead of the mess with gender wars.
Yeah, I'm not really any kind of journalist, even though this guy that keeps emailing me about this says I'm a journalist. But I do have some pride in MMA, and this is like total bullshit.
Right. So I guess for the people who don't know, you've been telling me this thing did not happen in Russia. Right.
So this whole event was supposed to happen in Russia. There were supposed to be 4 fights. I think 4, maybe 3 fights. I don't even really remember now. But a couple UFC vets were going to be working the corners. It was supposed to be a man versus woman fight in Russia for $1 million.
Right. And they had I remember they had a whole thing about who's going to be the guy fighting the woman.
And who the woman was going to be.
They had a big selection thing going on.
But actually, they already had him pre-selected. There was no selection process.
Right. And this whole thing happened on the U.S. continent.
Minnesota, I believe.
Right. Some warehouse.
Yeah, a warehouse. Apparently, he owns.
And apparently, didn't you tell me that he got all the competitors to go to his house or some predestinated location where he drove everyone to this warehouse or whatever structure he had to house the event.
Yes. All that is very true.
But it's
so it happened in Minnesota. It was a warehouse that he owned himself. So he owns a warehouse. He told the fighters that he would cart them to this undisclosed location. The last real fighter they had, Travis Wolf, at that time pulled out.
Right. I remember reading something about that.
The whole time, I'm still not sure whether he violated the law or not because it seems like you can't do that kind of stuff without letting the commission know what's going on because they build it as a live fight and they put it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, because they sold pay-per-views, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right, so they had some buys to that. How many buys do you know?
I think 65.
Oh, so where is the $1 million going to come from at this point?
Right. Even if they had like a whole bunch, there was no $1 million. I heard that, I don't know how true this is, but Tess made $2,000 for that appearance since it wasn't really a fight.
Wow.
Supposedly, both the fights were worked fights, and it was supposed to be like WWE. AJ came out, one of the guys that was backing this, that we also had on the podcast, and he said that all the media that knew that it was going to be like an exhibition pro wrestling thing, but that's bullshit because none of us did. I had AJ on, I had Tess on, and we had Brad Kohler all on at the same time with the Jerry Young interview. And they definitely sold it like it was real. They were arguing with us, and Tess was telling us the training she did and how she was going to beat this guy. And they tried to pull the wool over everyone's eyes, but
Right. It's it sounds like a shady scam at this point. It's just kind of sad actually. It's just not the best thing for the sport.
It's awful for the sport. It's one of the
Yeah.
worst things that can happen. Like I was cool about this freak show happening overseas because it would never come back to any of us. But when it comes in the United States and it's going against commission laws and these guys are lying to everybody, it's just bullshit. And they're both legitimate businessmen too.
Right. And see, that's the thing though. Like, why would you have taken that risk on your own reputation like that?
Right. I mean, AJ's got this huge market. He's got, he sells sports memorabilia. It's a real thing.
Right.
Brad Kohler's got the combo hitter thing. That actually, the combo hitter is fucking awesome.
Right.
And he does a great job with it.
I think sometimes, like, maybe a few stupid ideas while you are drinking that you think is a great idea somehow becomes reality, and you just can't pull it back at the end there.
Yeah, what a big scam. He wants to come on, and I'll have him on again, but he's gonna get some caveman scrutiny.
You're gonna have to scrutinize the
Yeah,
entire situation with Brett Kohler.
for sure. Brad Kohler might drive to Buffalo and beat us up after this interview.
I blame Ray.
Yeah, Ray did start it all.
Ray brought in Brett Kohler and see what happens.
Well, the first Brad Kohler interview was awesome because he
No.
talked about hooking up with interpreters and stuff.
Why am I not surprised? But yeah, well, I'm glad. I think at this point you have to bring Brett Kohler back on and call him to the table a little bit. Maybe give him a chance to explain why this happened,
Yeah.
the way it happened.
AJ wrote this thing online, commented on it, and I commented on it, and then he erased all the comments. He's erasing all the negative comments on there.
Oh, this happened to me once when I wrote a negative comment, and
Yeah,
I know that feeling.
That's so bad because he's trying to come out of the closet and say it was this big fake thing. And I wrote, "Look, I had you on the show. Look, we had a debate show about this. You were definitely not telling us that this was a fixed event." Not only that, I had Brad Kohler on the event before when we were talking about gender wars.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped the recording and we were just bullshitting, just talking what we were gonna say. And the whole time he was selling, "Oh, this is man versus woman. It's a real thing. It's all going on.
Right.
I got all these veterans that are going to fight. They're offering these guys like $1,000, $2,000 to fight, and the money's not there, and it's just a whole bunch of bullshit."
Yeah. So let's see if he will even come back on the show. If AJ is deleting all your comments, I'm not even sure they're going to come back on the show. Maybe at this point they're just going to narrate it the way they want to and not get questioned by it.
I guess he's getting in trouble in Minnesota now, like he should. They should never let him put on another MMA or pro wrestling show anywhere ever again.
Well, hopefully we get to the bottom of this. You and this other guy from California, maybe other people, because this would be a shame to happen again.
Yeah, we'll get it all worked out.
So that's good to know.
Yeah. All right. One last thing. Oh, two last things, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, Brandon Muckle got his black belt.
Oh, yes. So that was pretty awesome. I don't usually show up for every belt promotion, but this one I did show up to just be there to be part of the crowd and clap for Brandon because I think it's very well deserved.
I remember when I used to hold Brandon down with one hand with a rape choke and punch him in the face.
I think we have pictures of that.
I do have pictures of that.
Those were the days, right?
Yeah, back when I could still beat Muckle up. Well, I can probably beat him up still as long as we don't get on the ground too much.
I don't think Mucko's going to agree to that anymore.
What do you mean? To fight me or that
To not be on the ground.
Oh.
I think any fight, Mucko's going to be like jiu-jitsu only.
No, I'm not doing that bullshit.
No, but it is very well deserved. I think he works really hard on the art itself, so well deserved.
It was really great to see the other gyms come in and support him as well. I mean,
Yes.
he's been all over, and the outpouring of support for Brandon Muckle was a good thing to see. It was good for jiu-jitsu. It was good for the kids to see as well.
Right, and I think it's important for someone like Brandon is that you know him a lot longer than I have, and you probably have a deeper relationship with Brandon. But throughout the years and having moved from gym to gym due to different differences or people deciding to pursue different things, to me, every time Brandon has showed quite a bit of emotions over the love of jiu-jitsu itself and the community itself. So it's not like I see him as not doing this just for selfish. Everybody does it for their own enjoyment.
He does it for the girls.
He does it for the girls, and he got a beautiful girl out of this whole jiu-jitsu journey, right? His girlfriend, Dusty Rose, is...
I don't know. I can't see her. She keeps putting her big thumbnail right in my eyeball.
Dusty is probably one of the toughest little girl on the mat, but she is also one of the sweetest girl in the gym. And I think it's awesome to see them together. Dusty is a very sweet girl.
I must have missed that part. All I ever
Off
do
the
is see her
mat.
choking people out and poking people in the eye.
Yes, on the mat, she is.
I'm not talking
fierce.
off the mat. I'm scared.
No, she's got this beautiful smile. I like her, and I think, like back to Brandon, I just think like he has this heart of community in him about jiu-jitsu. There is something different than just doing it for his own enjoyment of becoming a black belt, and I think that's important because he is going to be a great teacher. And just
he's already a great teacher.
Right. And
ask Ray. Ray took privates from him. He said they were awesome.
Right. And I think that's why, because he has the heart to share that knowledge. Because personally, I have experienced and seen higher belt jiu-jitsu practitioners who are just very selfish. They do this so they can win this tournament, win that title, and get this and get that. And
Charis looking at me this whole time.
Well, there's only you to look at. But the point systems and this and that, and is a very selfish vibe versus Brandon and the other guy I can't think of at this point from our gym. There's other people in other gyms. From our gym is also Mike Scholes. I think those two people really are really very giving with their knowledge.
Professor Hess too. Even Mike really.
Yeah,
Professor Mike too.
Maybe, but I haven't had a chance to really work with Professor Hess. I haven't been at the gym. So, but Professor Hess has obviously been super nice to me. So
he hates it when I call him Professor Hess, by the way.
I always call him Mr. Hess.
Yeah, he's a professor.
Yeah, he's Nicole's,
comes with the territory.
And he's Nicole's dad. There has to be some respect shown.
Yeah, if you can raise a girl that crazy, I'm scared to see what he can do.
He's an awesome guy. So it'll be interesting. Maybe when the weather warms up a little bit, I'll make my way back to the gym and take some classes from Professor Hess.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right. One last thing. Grappling Industries. I know you got a whole laundry list of stuff you didn't like about it. Let's get into the tournament.
So the positive things to say about Grappling Industries tournament is the kids from your class, the KISS team that you and Matthew Flores led to the tournament did awesome.
Definitely. Western New York MMA kids, make sure you check us out. 255 Great Arrow. Coach Caveman's in charge. Just come up, ask for me, tell everyone you know me. Don't put your kids in the class, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, and just want to say, I believe all the kids medaled. And
every kid did medal.
Yes. And
even though we had to fight for Coleman to get his medal. But he earned it. He did not get a free medal.
And I was going to actually talk about Coleman, and I just I told Coleman's mom that you see a difference in Coleman at this tournament, that he really wanted to do well. Yeah, at the same time, he is so happy. The kid had joy on his face, and that was so good to see. And the other kid I really want to talk about is Dakota. Dakota got he's 13. Just turned 13 not too long ago, got moved up to compete with adults. And this kid showed heart when he was on the mat.
Heart of a lion. And he wore a Caveman shirt after, which was even better.
So I just want to talk to those, in all the other kids, Niall and Matt, of course, they always gone out.
Double golds.
Double gold. And my two sweet little girls, Amberlyn and Liliana.
Double gold, gold and silver.
Yes.
Because Amberlyn beat Liliana.
Right. And both of them do it with a smile, and they both have the coolest hairdos.
Yeah. By the way, Liliana's the only one that lasted with Amberlyn. Amberlyn just choked and armbarred everybody else out quick.
It's pretty much head down, helicopter, get on the back, and choke out your opponent.
Dude, she's got like biceps for real. She's a scary little girl.
God,
oh my god.
She's more muscular than me, and I've dubbing her as the Pat Mix Jr. female version.
Yeah,
it's with a rear naked choke. So, no, I just saying. So that's the positive thing. I think your team did great. You and Matt really for your team to do this great, you and Matt have done so much work with these kids.
All Western New York did great. I mean, everyone from the gym had a really good turnout, really.
And I don't know some of the younger people who practice jiu-jitsu at the gym these days, but as far as I know, a lot of people did really well. The other group that I'm really happy with are the McBride girls. They came out, they did really well. And again, Zaina, also one of the youngest member, went against some adult female, and she held her own. So it's great to see those girls do so well at the tournament too.
I think Muhammad lost for the first time I've ever seen too.
Yeah, and I was the Saki adult goes like, "Did you win that match?" Looks at me, no, I lost. I was like,
that dude is gigantic, brown belt.
He was huge, and he's like a full-grown adult. Tall. He was like a head taller than Muhammad.
Muhammad's a full-grown adult too, but that guy is a monster heavyweight.
I know, it was, and then I looked at him. I was just like, Charis, why would you even ask that kid that? But then of course it was really good to see him and Pat Mix go at it. Pat Mix also like beat up everyone else in that group.
Pat Mix went up a weight class because the guy he came to originally compete against ducked him, went down a weight class. So Pat went up and challenged himself. Him and Muhammad went at it, and it was a referee's decision 0-0.
Right.
And they gave the decision to Muhammad.
Right. And I don't know enough to even judge that, but I just think, Pat's great. And Pat's, there's nothing you can say about Pat's skill sets and his athleticism. So it's great to have, it was a long day by the time Pat got to compete. But it was great that we stayed to watch that. It's
crazy because in IBJJF, he might have won that.
Right.
And most other things, he probably would have lost.
Right.
It's so crazy. The rule set just determines how these matches play out. And on top of that, I don't know what he's giving. He fights 35. I don't know what he weighs.
Right.
Muhammad's about 170. So you're talking about at least three weight class differences. And Pat really went up, challenged himself. But Muhammad's a beast, man. It was great to watch. The whole gym just stopped to watch that match, for real.
Right. And so I think that's a good segue into some of the issues that Grappling Industry had. One of the
I got some more positives before we get into the negative.
Oh, okay. I'll let you go with your positives.
All right. Another positive was that we actually have another tournament in Buffalo, which is a huge good thing for the city of Buffalo. Having tournaments is good. The other thing I want to say is the guy is on Facebook, and if he changes his stuff like he's saying he's going to change, it's good. But we do have some legitimate concerns. And now you can get into your negatives about the thing.
Okay. I don't want to sound all negative. And the first thing I want to say I believe his last name is Agusi.
I'm not sure how to say it, so I haven't said it. But his first name is Dave, so we can just say Dave.
Hey,
Dave.
Yeah. So Grappling Industry, Dave from Grappling Industry. So the first thing I want to say, kudos for going onto Nickel City BJJ forum and actually responding to the criticisms that people had about the tournament, and then make this promise of making it better the next time you come back. So I was a little more passionate this time because one of the issues that got me really passionate about is prior to the event actually happening, we got information that Grappling Industries was going to charge spectators fee for $15 per person.
I think the spectator fee at jiu-jitsu is a complete scam because you're only paying to see your friend. No one's coming to watch jiu-jitsu at a jiu-jitsu tournament except for your family, your friends, or your kids.
Right.
Unless you're at the IBJJFs where there's these high-level black belts, no one's coming to watch kids. No one's coming to watch purple belts. Let me tell you that right now. I wouldn't pay $15 to watch Muhammad and Pat Mix go at it. I mean, I could watch that for free at the gym in the first place, but...
You're there, people who go to these tournaments are there to support families, friends, teammates. These are not, like you said, unless you're going to IBJJF, you're actually looking at jiu-jitsu stars or something, that you charge a fee. Otherwise, $15 for spectators is a steep price. And it really got me passionate about it because some families from our gym who are diehard fans of our KISS team who had planned on coming out to support the team, to support the kids, could not afford to come out to support because of $15 fee. So that's one thing.
I did offer to pay for them. And Charis gave me the eyes when I said that. She's like, are you paying for them or the gym? I was like, I got them if they want to come.
Right. And you said I gave you the eye, but at the same time, I do think that's awesome. But I also told you none of those people will actually let you do that. They would rather not come because they also don't want to financially burden you to pay for them to come out to see this. But a lot of people wanted to come but could not come because, it was a financial burden to them to pay $15 per person to come and watch the tournament. And these are people who wanted to be there to support the KISS team. I had a huge problem that these people could not come because I don't want to use Dave's name because I don't want to make it personal, but his company, Grappling Industries, decided to charge this fee. So one thing is that. The other thing is, before the event, he was given the email directly from the New York State Athletic Commissioner clearly stating that in New York State, unless the event is regulated by New York State Athletic Commission, you are not allowed to charge spectators. They have defaulted on the fact that, we tried to call them, but they never responded to us.
I can actually go over what the rules are because I work with Don Lilly a lot, and he's the inspector for the area. And not only that, he was very instrumental in passing the MMA bill. This is because of the MMA bill. When MMA became legal, New York State also started overseeing all combat sports, except for kickboxing and pro wrestling, which must have great lobbies because they are not included in this bill. And I know Amir probably had something to do with that too, because I've actually talked with Amir off the mic that he's glad that the way the laws are written, it doesn't really affect lace-up. But what it does affect is jiu-jitsu. What the law says is if you charge a spectator fee, you need to be regulated by the New York State Athletic Commission, which means you need to bring in one of the 3 amateur commissions that they use, which means you need to pay them a few $1,000s. You need to have every contestant blood tested and have a physical before they compete, and then they have to compete underneath the rules of whatever the commission that they use is.
And this information was actually communicated to Grappling Industries directly to Dave. They are claiming that because this information did not come straight from the athletic commissioner directly contacting them, so they decide to go business as usual and charge the spectator fee.
To be honest, I don't know if I listen to some crazy cuckoo bearded crazy maniac either.
But here's the thing. If you decide business as usual, $15 is still a lot to charge for a jiu-jitsu tournament at the size they held it at. First of all, the venue itself isn't small, but there was only 4 running mats. The entire tournament had 4 running mats. The mat spaces were small. The venue most people had coats on the entire time. I've never gone to a jiu-jitsu tournament where I was cold the entire time. So these are some of the basic amenity issues. There was no seating. There was no enough parking.
To be devil's advocate, I'm going to stick up for him a little bit here because this is what we do on Caveman's Corner, throw each other under the bus.
Absolutely.
I would say the heating in the venue probably is not their fault. As they're out of state, so they rent the venue. They don't know that they can't really heat the place. They probably don't know that there's no seats in the place either.
Well, see, this is
although they would know that the day before when they get there to set up.
So here's my part of it. Grappling Industry has run many tournaments in many cities, including other countries. This is a business that should know better. That when they go to a new city where they're not familiar, they need to be doing market research. Obviously, they did not do any market research in terms of where the tournament needs to be held, how the venue looks like. If you want to run a successful tournament and you want to claim that you are a successful grappling event organizer, this is pretty pathetic to come up with these things and say, well, we're not from Buffalo. We don't know the area. Well, I doubt you're from every city you've held an event at. Why is it Buffalo so unique to you that you could not have done market research before you come here? This is not a small 5-people gym that decided to put on an event. This is an organization, a company that have run many events already. So you should know better. And so, sure, you might have a heating issue. We can sidestep that a little bit, but you should know the parking issues. You should know seating issues. You should know that you need to have a medic on staff.
That's a big problem.
That is a huge problem.
We're kind of skipping around that one, so let's just continue with the venue. We'll jump back to the medic.
Okay, so the venue, it was chaos because there was only one person doing weigh-ins and score sheets and podium. One person. They had 2 people from Grappling Industries. I don't know if they are directly from Grappling Industry from another city or they're from this city, but 2 people that actually belong to Grappling Industries running the show there. All the other people were just volunteers. So there was no food, there were a couple vending machines that was in the venue to begin with.
They missed out on concessions big time.
Right. And to be honest, if they would have had concession, they would have made money more than charging spectators.
Damn
one
right.
One of the parents came in who just had knee surgery, paid $15. He just had knee surgery. There was nowhere to sit.
We stole the chair from the lady at the sign-in.
Well, that's good because he needed to sit down. And think about this. This is a parent from the KISS program who really wanted to be there to support his own child and the other kids on the team. He made it there after knee surgery, and there's no seating.
ACL's knee surgery, too.
Right. So it made me become so passionate about this one because I've gone to other tournaments. We have come home and talked about those things. And, I'm not a huge fan of the Fredonia tournament either for other reasons. But I've never been this passionate about this. And it's because it really affected the parents and the KISS program. And I'm not at the gym all the time, but my heart is with this program. My heart is with the kids and the parents. So it really bothered me that parents could not come because of the fee. Parents came after knee surgery and does not have a seat. So let's jump to this subject of nomadics.
Let me get to the venue real quick. Along the same lines, not really the same thing. I didn't like the way the mats were set up. I think that anytime you have kids, you should be able to have a coach on the mat. Even IBJJF, they don't allow coaches in the corner for the adults, but they always allow coaches in the corner for the kids.
Yes.
And the way that the rings were roped off, there's no way that you can coach over the parents. Like, say we have a loud parent, Andrea Hoffman. There's no way anyone's going to hear me over her because she's just going to be yelling really loud. It's just how she is. She's enthusiastic. That's why the coaches are usually closer to the venue. On top of that, we're paying a lot of money for the way that the venue is roped off. You can't even see the mats, to be honest with you, if you're a parent and you're not going to be push your way into the mat. That's kind of a criticism that they have. There was a Reddit article that Jennifer Lamarca posted, and some of these same criticisms are standard for Grappling Industries, so maybe it's nothing new to them. Maybe that's the way they prefer the tournament. But I always think, at least for the kids, that there should be a coach on the mat.
Josh's tournaments also do the same thing. You can have for the kids tournaments, you guys can be by the mats.
Right, one coach, one chair for the coach that you sit in and you coach from.
Right. So that's important because safety first, and especially for kids, and you need to have coaches to be able to jump in and intercept something if needed, because we want the kids to be safe. And the whole thing is,
at one point, I forgot whose arm was. Maybe Mason's. Someone's arm was stretched out in a belly down arm bar, and oh my God, it was hyperextended past where it should be. And I'm yelling, "We tap, we tap, we tap, we tap, we tap!"
No
from
one
the
can
crowd.
hear you.
No one can hear me. It's bad. That's why we need to be a little bit closer at times too for the kids, because the kids too tough for their own good. I don't know how you want to say it,
right?
But they're
sometimes they just don't know,
right?
And that's why they have coaches, and they have to let the coaches be near the kids during the matches. Again, safety first. I think, one more positive before we go on. The event did run fairly on time. Although I think I know at least one person missed his gi bracket because time got changed.
Yeah,
and
Kyle Beaver.
Yeah, and he was never notified. So maybe something can be done about that so people are not missing their brackets, especially when they're paying $100 to participate in this tournament. And if they wanted to do, and this is one thing that was odd to me, that they had to pay $20 to do the absolute, and absolute happened before regular brackets.
Oh, that's one other thing I have. I don't like the way the tournament was set up, because if I was going to compete, I would be competing at the same time and trying to coach the kids. Same thing with Matt. So
yeah, because you guys couldn't compete this time if you wanted to, because there was no way you can do both.
I wouldn't have known that until I signed up either. I would have been pretty aggravated if I signed up and then I found out. Good thing there's no other brown or black signed up.
Yeah, and that I was also quite surprised. The tournament, the highest belt level was purple.
I think the Ed guy's a brown belt actually.
Okay, but
So-
yeah, there was a very
Yeah.
small amount of color belts. I saw a lot more white belts. There were a couple of people with orange belts.
A lot of blue too.
Yeah.
I think the spar people were wearing orange belts because they have the Krav Maga
okay, that makes
ranking
sense.
too.
So that's a few things I had about that. Then when we were there, we found out there was no medic on staff.
That's a big problem.
That is a huge problem. That should not be. Maybe I don't know all the rules, but I doubt that's legal at all.
Not when you're charging admission and it needs to be regulated.
No, and somebody did pop their ribs, and I guess when the person popped their ribs, one of the two people from Grappling Industry came over and say, "Well, I had some kind of first aid training," which I agree. First aid training is a half-day class that teaches you how to do CPR. It doesn't really teaches you how to handle injuries. I guess the other part of the medical they have was they had a bucket of ice somewhere, and Jennifer Lamarca actually supplied her own personal first aid kit to the event.
You don't need a bucket of ice. You can just go underneath one of the fans. It's just like being on ice.
Right.
I couldn't have competed. I would have I'm not
No.
sure I could have competed.
Yeah. The problem with no medic is our child had competed in other tournaments where he got hurt. If there wasn't a medic on scene, he could have sustained permanent damage to his shoulder that time. And it was only because they had EMT on scene that was able to bandage him up.
Fredonia that Charis hates.
Right. And even that, they had a medic, an EMT on scene that was able to bandage up for us. And I was able to take him to emergency care. And there, the doctor actually credit the EMT's work of bandaging him up. So it's important because you have children there. Even adults with jiu-jitsu, with contact
I think
sport.
heel hooks are legal. Any
And that's another thing.
the other heel hooks, crushes, everything's legal at
Reaping the
the
knee.
black belt.
Right. And so it's shocking that they do not have medical staff, EMT on scene for the event. I think they're probably lucky that I think the worst injury that day was popping the rib, and no children seem to was sustained. I think there was a bloody nose out of the kids. Actually, one of our own kids delivered the bloody nose to the other child.
Ha ha ha! I taught him well.
But other than that, thank God there was no other serious injury. But having medical staff on scene at a contact sport event is a huge must.
He did say that would never happen again. They signed a deal that they would have medical staff there, but anyone that runs a tournament should know you should have medical staff there.
Exactly. And that's the big thing I have with Dave's response today. It's a good thing he responded, and it's a good thing he promised to make these changes. But I find a lot of the things he said were just excuses, because for an organization like Grappling Industries, who had that much experience in running tournaments all over the world, not just United States, all over the world, for you to have come up with these, we didn't have it because of this, because of that. Well, you should know. Some of these are basic rookie mistakes that they made. Like smaller organizations who put on tournaments in the area had done much better job. So for Grappling Industries to say, well, we didn't know, we didn't have this because of this, because that,
It's
to
funny
me, just a bunch of BS.
It's funny because Tap Out Cancer got special permission from the New York State Athletic Commission. The guy actually posted it in the same Nickel City BJJ forum.
And then because he is doing something for a
Right.
charity cause.
Mm-hmm.
And that's different. And I look at Tap Out Cancer differently because it's a charity event. It's not. Grappling Industry is a for-profit company.
Catry doesn't charge admission.
And he
either.
also-
he charges donation. He donates it all to Vector.
Yes.
And then Fredonia stopped charging admission too.
Yeah. In Fredonia, they are for-profit, so they just stopped charging. They didn't have a charity to go to. Josh had a charity to go to. Tap Out Cancer. The event itself is a charity event. And I love those events. We also had a different event in town here to support. Remember, it wasn't a tournament, but it was more of
that seminar?
Seminar
Yeah.
that supported one of our local jiu-jitsu practitioners who had cancer. It was a fundraiser for the person.
I think every black belt in the town was there at that time.
And see, this is the thing I said under Josh Kettry's comment about Grappling Industry coming here doing a favor for us, and some of the other schools owners who said things such as, oh, it's great to have you guys in town, blah, blah, blah. I think Buffalo as a city, as a BJJ community, we need to demand better things and not say, oh, wait, they came here to do us a favor. Oh, thank you for coming here. No, Buffalo has a great BJJ community, great people involved in it. And for anyone, any organization that wants to come and run an event here, they have to remember Buffalo also draws Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, all the way as far as New York City, Canada. We draw crowds from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Cleveland area, because Buffalo is in this area where it's so accessible by so many places. This is a big city. This is a big city that can run big tournaments. For anyone to come in,
sounds like we should run a Caveman Classic.
They need to be respectful to what this city can do for their organization, and not for us to say, oh, thank you for coming. Oh, you're doing us a favor. No, please, we're doing you a favor for having you come back here to run a tournament. So all I can say to Grappling Industry is, David, thank you for posting your responses online, but I hope that next time you come back to town, make sure you have all your fixes done. Make sure you're bringing bigger, better things to Buffalo. Buffalo is not a small venue. Buffalo is a huge venue, and you need to run a respectful tournament in this town. Otherwise, I will be on your butt again, because this is how passionate I am about our community here.
I'm sure Kim will talk to him a little bit too. She had surgery that day. I'm pretty sure that's why she didn't get back to him.
Right.
But that's just something that's so crazy, because we're the only state that does that out of all 50 states. So I can understand why you wouldn't know that, but still, I told him. And
right, and the email you sent him was straight from the commissioner. She wrote it herself. It is from her email address. So I don't know what other proof they really need to stop charging spectators. I think it would have been the right thing to do to just not charge that day or lower the costs. People didn't. Again, I still feel bad that some of our team's parents, people who usually support our team, could not come to this event.
I guess what happened was they didn't have as many people as they thought were going to sign up, so they left some of the staff behind. They didn't bring in as many referees as they could. That's one other thing that they could have probably done, actually, is meet with the referees so the referees understood the rules. All the referees are the local referees, so I mean we run into them all the time. They're the same things, but the rules for the tournament are a little bit different, so there's no advantage points, and that caused actually that was the time that Coleman cried when I held him, because
oh yeah,
it was Gray. It was a referee, of course, with his perfect hair. Oh my God, that hair is so perfect.
The hair god.
But he did not know, because there's no advantages. He didn't know what the rules was, like if he just decided the winner or how it went. So he had to go figure out what the rules were. And then, obviously, when that happens to your child, you'd be pretty upset when they come back and say the other kid wins.
Oh, yeah.
No matter which kid won, the other parent was going to be upset in that situation. To be honest with you, I would have gave it to the other kid, too. I mean, it was a really close match, but that kid had Coleman's back a little bit more. Coleman was more aggressive, but that's not really how jiu-jitsu scored, so.
Yeah, see, the only competition I personally competed in was Josh's Classic, Buffalo Classic. And for Buffalo Classic, they do have the advantage points. They do the point system, they do advantage, and they do the penalties.
Yeah, and then the referee decision, that's all the same. It's all tied after that.
Right. And no, you're not always going to have perfect decisions. Not everybody's going to go home happy, leave the mats happy. But having all of those built in just make it so much more clear.
Right. Well, their whole thing is they don't want the advantages. They want you to try and get the submission and not play the advantage game. Because you get advantages for almost passing, and it's really subjective. And that's just what they want to do for the tournament. But if they would have just took 5 minutes before and talked with the referees. You should know what the rules are going in. I know you said that they should have a rules meeting for everybody. But that's kind of on the competitor to know what the rules are going in. But the referee should have a 100% understanding of what's going on.
Well, so my question is, there were two people there that's actually from Grappling Industry. Did those two people themselves even know what the rules, how the rules supposed to be?
I don't know, because they didn't ref any matches.
Exactly. So one guy didn't look to me.
I'm sure Dave did.
Know. Dave was not there.
Dave was there.
Dave Augusti?
Yeah, the guy with the hat.
That's not Dave.
Who was the guy with the hat?
I don't know, some schmuck. No, I'm sorry, but he's not Dave. That's not Dave. Dave was not at the event.
No?
He was he has some other name. He's not Dave.
Oh, okay.
Dave did not come to the event.
I thought Dave was the guy with the hat on.
No, because there was a really tall guy and the guy with the hat on.
Oh, okay. I thought the guy with the hat on was Dave.
No, that's not
All
Dave.
right. I'm confused then.
Yeah. He was not there. I don't think they know.
Oh, well, he doesn't know then. But at least he still answered his stuff.
Well, yeah, credits to that. I do give him credit for answering those things. But I do think some of the things he said were corporate BS.
That's what you got to do when you run a tournament like that. If you look, did you read that Reddit article?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I read the Grappling Industry website. They talk about giving out prizes, bringing all these things for the competitors so everybody goes home with something. And the only thing they had at this tournament they ran on Saturday was medals.
Right.
They didn't have team trophies.
Because we would have smashed it.
Yes. They didn't have anything extra. They had the weigh-in tables, the score, which is the same table as the scores table, the podium, which the kids told me that it was falling apart by the end of the day. They had to duct tape it. They had the BJJT's table, which did not have a credit card. You cannot pay with credit cards. I already gave all my cash to the door because I'm a spectator over 12. And they had another tent set up for bus gear. And that's it.
Buzz gear. Buy buzz gear.
Yeah, because bus gear is going to hopefully make a deal here. No,
All right.
just kidding.
If they make a deal with Caveman, definitely buy buzz gear.
Right. So, but the thing is, there's just so much lack off with this event that I don't think Grappling Industry did a service for themselves.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to get out of here. It's late. Are we going to have sex tonight? No, we're not going to have sex tonight.
Am I supposed to answer this stuff on air?
Maybe not for the next 100 years with that answer like that. So with that being said, let's get out of here.
Where's Ray? Because then you can ask Ray if he would have sex with you tonight.
If Ray was here, I would have sex tonight. Ray's a pimp.
I'll get out of the room and leave you two in it.
Are we going to have sex tonight?
Are we there yet?
I'm done.
Well, then why are you asking for sex for?
4 seconds is all I got.
You're the 4-second man.
Yeah. That's probably the best Easter egg ever. Here on Caveman's Corner. Coming to you live from the Caveman Studios and on the closed location.
With nothing but white walls.
Nothing but white walls.
And the 4-second man.
And a 4-second man. What else do you need?
See, I'm doing a better Easter egg with you than Ray is.
I can be done and cleaned up before most people even get it out of their pants. And I'm out of here. Let's get out of here. End of the day. Goodbye.